Hello, everyone. Today is a very special day because today is my 20th birthday. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that now I'm already in my 20s. So, to celebrate this momentous occasion, I am doing a collaboration, an alternate history collaboration with my favorite YouTuber to collaborate with, the one and only Julius Caesar. We've come up with another alternate history. This time, what if the Ottomans were Christian? We decide to do this because it is quite a different alternate history, and unlike the typical ones, including ones we've done, Germany winning the world wars, US, blah blah blah, we decide to do something very different and original. So I hope you guys will enjoy this. All right, so I think all of us here are fairly familiar with the story of the Ottoman Empire, um, how it rose from, one Turkish tribal leader to become the strongest country on the planet for quite a while. But of course, as well as being the Ottoman Empire, it was also the Ottoman Sultanate, and then later the Ottoman Caliphate. So, what if that all changed? What if instead of embracing Islam, the Ottomans embraced Christianity? All right, so in this alternate history, things still go to the same early on, at least the first 30-ish years. But in 1335, the Ottomans convert to Christianity during the reign of Orhan I after their capital is moved to Bursa. The reason this happens is because after conquering a lot of formerly Eastern Roman territory where the subjects are Christian, the Ottomans decide that it is in their best interest to convert to Christianity. Now, just because the Ottomans are Christians now doesn't mean that they won't attack Europe. As in 1351, they cross into Gallipoli and still begin their expansion into Europe. In fact, in 1363, just as in our timeline, the capital is still moved to Adrianople or Edirne, and so the Ottomans have cemented themselves as a European power. However, being Christian, they are more accepted as a European country, though not completely. Now, by 1370, they were powerful enough to force the Eastern Roman Empire to become their vassal, basically making them Ottoman in all but name. However, in 1402, Sultan Bayezid I would still be killed by the Timurids at the Battle of Ankara, leaving four of his sons, Mehmed, Isa, Suleiman, and Musa, to fight it out in what would be known as the Ottoman Interregnum, or Ottoman Civil War, which would last from 1402 until 1413. The Eastern Romans would use the opportunity to gain their independence, and it was only after Mehmed's force wins that they would once again be forced to become vassals of the Ottomans. Now, of course, being a puppet of the Ottomans would gain a lot of prestige, especially as an Orthodox country, of basically indirectly controlling Constantinople. And eventually, the Ottomans would decide in 1453 to simply just annex Eastern Rome, since it was so weak and couldn't offer much of a resistance. And in this timeline, the Ottomans not being Muslim would mean that the Eastern Romans would peacefully surrender to them instead of making a final last stand. So, anyways, throughout the rest of the 15th century, the Ottomans would basically expand in the same way that they did in our timeline. Honestly, the real Ottomans in our timeline, right, they attacked both Christian and Muslim countries, and so the Ottomans being Christian in this timeline would do the same thing. They would still attack Christian countries as well as Muslim countries. So the expansion mostly goes about the same way. However, in 1517, well, actually in 1516, the Ottomans decide to call for a crusade against the infidel Mamluks who still control the holy city of Jerusalem. Now, just like in our timeline, the Ottomans would quickly conquer the entire country. And so by the following year, in 1517, the Mamluk Sultanate would be conquered during a crusade. Now, this would obviously have the effects of giving the Ottomans control over Jerusalem, Mecca, and Medina. But unlike in our timeline, they would now all fall under Christian control, which would have a massive symbolic effect. And so this war would not only be a great victory for Christianity over Islam, but would also solidify the new Turkish identity against their Muslim neighbors, and almost like a frontier like crusading nationalism, kind of like what you saw it with the Spanish after the Reconquista. And so the Turks would now all be united against a common enemy, and this would really solidify Ottoman/Turkish nationalism as a Christian power. So, with, of course, the three holiest cities in Islam all being conquered by the Ottoman/Crusaders, this would, of course, be the biggest disaster in all of Islamic history. They would be humiliated by having such a stunning defeat happen in a mere 1 year time span. However, this wouldn't only have effects for the Muslims or even for the Orthodox. In the meantime, although of course some Catholics would have helped the Ottomans reconquer Jerusalem in the Crusade, the fact that the Ottoman themselves and not the Crusaders would control Jerusalem would in a way highlight the weakness of the Catholic Church, and this would inspire a monk in Germany called Martin Luther to start the Reformation. So, of course, this would be really the main divergent point in the timeline, because this would be the time when things really start getting different. Now, in 1529, the Ottomans would still besiege Vienna after the collapse of Hungary and would try to take it, but just like in our timeline, they would fail. However, it wouldn't be remembered that much in history, since it wouldn't be seen as a great victory of Christianity over Islam, but would just be seen as two European countries once again fighting for territory in Central Europe. Now, of course, the Muslims wouldn't just take the conquest of the three holy cities sitting down. And so in 1533, they would organize a jihad to reconquer the Holy Lands, led by the Safavids. In this timeline, the Safavids would essentially become the defenders of Islam and would organize a coalition of smaller Muslim states against them. However, the Ottomans, having a much better army, would actually defeat the Safavids, and in 1535 would conquer Iraq, before 20 years later concluding peace, having conquered Iraq and Algeria. And this only furthers the tension. So this is where I will leave you guys for today. Don't forget to watch episode 2, which will be on Julius Caesar's channel very soon, so you can see how a Christian Ottoman Empire would affect colonialism, which I think you'll find interesting. Of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also, you can wish me happy birthday in the comments. And I also will be doing something else special for my birthday. Probably won't be coming out today, but it'll be coming out fairly soon. Okay, so see you all later, and have a nice day.